What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrap-Up College Football Playoff edition. The first round of the 2025 College Football Playoff are in the book. The quarterfinals will start on New Year's Eve. We will get to those preview matchups, but before we do, we're going to dive into how we got there. Welcome in, everybody, alongside former NFL QB Madison Skubie Mageza in the house as well. I am Sam Ravech, guys. In last year's playoff, the home teams all won by at least 10 points, right? The average margin of victory for home teams was 19 points. Well, that changed this year because we had two teams lose at home. That had never happened before in the history of the 12-team playoff. Ole Miss and Oregon, however, didn't get much pushback in their games. Let's get to the highlights here. We got a full rip of all four of the games, and we will start with Tulane and Ole Miss. The first time, remember, that these two played, the Ole Miss Rebels crashed the Green Wave party to the tune of 45-10. You see Pete Golding leading the team out. Lane Kiffin was on the sideline first go around. He wasn't this time. Didn't seem to matter in the slightest. First quarter, no score. Kewan Lacey got banged up a little bit in this game. Takes it 20 yards to the house. Rebels go up 7-0 early. And then the next possession,
real quick.
It was real quick, and they didn't slow down as Trinidad Chambliss calls his own number. Matty, the Rebels gained 135 yards in the first 7 snaps of the game.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about right there. Hey, Charlie Weiss, good to see you, player, and way to start the game off fast for your quarterback.
Yeah. Third quarter now, Ole Miss up 14. That's DeJon Stribling getting involved in the action.
Yeah.
Ole Miss going up 24-3. And then in the fourth quarter, Chambliss calling his own number again. He had a career day. The first time these two met, put on another show here tonight. Ole Miss and its fan base, I think they get a cathartic win in Oxford, 41-10. They scored just 4 points less than they did earlier in the year. Beautiful shot
that
there.
is amazing.
That is so cool.
Ole Miss is worth, Lane Kiffin is worth 4 points, as it appears.
Yeah, they didn't need the 4 points. They didn't need the 4 points tonight, man.
Yeah.
But, the Tulane versus No Lane Bowl, I think that was one of the monikers of this one. But,
very charming.
Trinidad Chambliss, another great one tonight. Kewan Lacey, going to be interesting to see the health of him going forward as they go up to face Georgia coming up next in the quarterfinal in the Sugar Bowl. But impressive performance from Ole Miss.
Hey, really happy for Ole Miss, for Pete Golding, of course, for Charlie Weiss and Trinidad Chambliss, the rest of the football team. I mean, everything that they've been through these past few weeks, it's just, it's unbelievable. And for them to come out, perform the way that they did at home for that fan base, so the fan base that was craving something successful like that, phenomenal way at home, taking care of business.
Yeah, I mean, talk about showing up when you need to in a game like this. Trinidad Chambliss is a guy who got 2 first-place Heisman votes, played like it once again. One of his best games of the season was against Tulane. For Tulane and the group of 5 teams, that discussion will continue if they really deserve to be in the 12th
And it will be had later on in this show, by the way. But, Matty, go ahead.
It will go down. But, hey, let's go to the next game on our docket here today, and that's the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Texas A&M Aggies. There's Elko and the boys walking out, getting ready at 12th man. Man, this was a hell of an environment. This was awesome.
Right?
I was nervous just watching it.
11 a.m. local time. They didn't care.
We're going to pick this one up in the second. Marcel Reed, play-action pass, dropping back. And he finds Mario Craver.
What a catch!
What a focus and concentration there at the end to get this catch. He takes it deep into Miami territory. The drive would stall, though, because there's Ruben Bain with the heavy hand there with the block. Miami blocking the field goal there to keep the Texas A&M Aggies off the board.
That kind of set the tone for the game.
It absolutely did. That was foreshadowing for sure. Miami trying to take the lead of their own here. Carter Davis kick is also no good. A little windy over there in Texas today, and the kickers had some trouble dealing with that wind. The game remains scoreless. We're going to go to the third quarter now. Oh, we're going to show another field goal kick. Excuse me, another miss here.
I mean,
that was wide right.
I mean, that was one of the big problems of this game. Continuous missed field goals.
Special teams,
field
baby.
goals, and you just didn't know if they're going to be able to kick anymore.
Well, here we go. Third quarter now. Mark Fletcher between the tackles. Good blocking up front, running hard and physical. You see the receivers down there blocking downfield, gets into Texas A&M territory. Miami trying to get their first points of the game, and finally, Davis drills the field goal. Miami takes the lead 3-0 in the third quarter. Aggies looking to answer. Reed dropping back to pass, looking over the middle. Ball gets away from him a little bit. Bryce Fitzgerald with the interception there, replacing Poser, who left the game earlier in this game. He comes in, the freshman Bryce Fitzgerald, with the big-time interception, flipping the field and gaining some big-time momentum for the Hurricanes. Miami trying to capitalize. Davis's kick. Doink! off the upright. It is no good.
By the way, there were more missed field goals than there were points after the 3 quarters played today.
There you go. Hey, that's why you run the ship here. Fourth quarter now. Texas A&M trying to get on the board. Drilled it right down the middle.
He made it.
Randy Bond comes in to kick this field goal, and it is good. Texas A&M ties the game at 3. The next drive for Miami. Carson Beck. Quiet day for him, but he played good. Finds Malachi Tony over the middle. It's a strip. Dalton Brooks forces the fumble. Damian Sanford with the fumble recovery. Huge turnover there. But they don't capitalize, the Aggies. We fast forward to later in the fourth. 4 minutes left, and there's Mark Fletcher right down the teeth of the defense there for the Aggies. Great blocking by the offensive line, and he does a great job of finishing that run and adding a few extra yards, fighting Brooks there to the very end. A few plays later, Tony in motion. It's man coverage. Block the edge. That's exactly what they do. Tony gets the end around there into the end zone. What a moment for him to bounce back after that fumble to get that touchdown. Miami takes the lead 10-3. And now Marcel Reed got his team down there to give him a chance to win. But there's that dude Fitzgerald, Carson Beck, with the interview postgame.
We just heard from Mark Fletcher. You guys were able to establish the run game late into this game to eventually get the game-winning touchdown. What allowed that to come to fruition there late?
Man, well, first, Mark Fletcher himself, I mean, he was running the ball so hard today. You look at that O-line, just mash, just one play at a time, and eventually we were able to just get it to where Mark has free room. We're so physical on the outside, too. Credit those wide receivers coming out, digging safeties out. Like, that's the stuff that goes unnoticed and unseen, and, I mean, it's full 11, making an effort, and then, obviously, Mark Fletcher doing the rest.
I love that he credited the wide receivers for the blocking in the offensive line, because that literally was the story in that fourth quarter.
That was. And credit to Shannon Dawson, too, understanding that that's just the way the game was today, and not trying to force it. So often we see coaches get a little anxious of like, well, we haven't made the play yet. Let's force it. Now they stick to the game plan. They trusted their players. They trusted Tony, Fletcher, the offensive line, and just won an old-school grudge match there in the trenches.
Yeah, probably one of the most entertaining, low-scoring football games that I've watched.
Yeah.
A long time, and the entire time you kind of just on the edge of your seat. Just shout out to a lot of guys on that Miami team that battled all the way through. We're going to talk more about it in just a minute, but we're going to continue with these highlights, Sam.
Yeah, we sure are. Fireworks started in Norman, Oklahoma last night. Rematch between the Tide and the Sooners. Sooners took the first matchup in Titletown. Alabama has never lost to the same team twice in a season ever. Oklahoma didn't waste time getting started in this one. John Mateer drops back, says, I'm actually going to take this myself.
Wow.
And they go up 7-0. Oklahoma didn't waste any time getting it going at home early on.
Playing sharp early, that's what you got to do. Take advantage of the home field setting.
After a field goal, they're up 10-0, and they're going to strike again, moving it with ease. Favorite target, Isaiah Satania.
Well done. Well done. At this point, you're up 17-0.
That was the same play, Matty, except he pulled back, right?
Yeah, I mean, bad eye discipline by the secondary there in Alabama. The receiver slips behind the safety there, looking at Mateer to run.
So Alabama, after completely no-showing in the first quarter, get it going. That's Lottie Brooks, your guy from Jersey.
Lottie.
Yo,
he likes the party.
Jersey, Millville, what up? In the house.
6 offensive touchdowns on fourth down this season for Alabama. Woo! And then Xavier Brown with the interception. We've seen this before, taking it to the house.
Man, Xavier, he did it against Tennessee. He does it here again against the Oklahoma Sooners and really just tricked Mateer into throwing to that cloud coverage in the boundary.
Tied all 17 apiece at the half. We go to the third. Alabama made the defensive adjustments. They kept the foot on the gas pedal offensively, and Latsier Brooks stepped up once again on a day where Ryan Williams was pretty much non-existent. Jeremy Bernard didn't get it going really till the fourth quarter. It was Lottie Brooks, man.
Hey, man coverage, great ball placement by Ty Simpson and Latsier Brooks. The patience there to turn at the last second, late hands to get the end zone.
But credit to OU here, not going down easy. John Mateer, perfect pass to Dion Burks for a 37-yard score. Sooners back within 3. Burks had over 100 yards receiving in this game. And the ultimate gadget receiver, we mentioned him, Jeremy Bernard, was kept quiet in this game until he makes this unbelievable grab.
Ooh, on his head.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't even know how to describe this play other than just like, hey, that's why they call it playmaking, right?
Just a lot of clutch plays that Alabama made, and you could just tell that they were refusing to lose.
But Alabama's been in these games all season long. They know how to respond. Daniel Hill with the 6-yard running touchdown there. Bama back up 10.
This is a type of tough running that you want to see from Alabama. The running game hasn't been there all year, but that was great.
Look, Tate Sandell barely misses this one. He didn't miss very much all year long. It was actually his first miss since his very first attempt of the year. That's how good he's been.
Talk about a bad time to mess up on special teams. Oklahoma has scored on every single red zone drive this season, the only team in college football to do that.
So here he gets another shot, and it is short.
Wow.
Look, I understand what Venables was trying to do there, right? It's a two-score game. You got to kick a field goal there.
Right.
So, they weren't able to do it. But nevertheless, Ty Simpson talked about Alabama's win after the game.
The guys that we have, the players, the coaches, 17-0's, it's nothing to us. Give us the ball, we'll go down, do what we do. Give them the ball, they'll go down and do what they do. That's all. What did Kobe say? We're not done yet. That's all I gotta say.
Words of the late great Kobe Bryant there. Alabama, Ty Simpson, complete just the second ever comeback in the playoff when down by 17 points. And the other one, coincidentally enough, was Georgia against this very Oklahoma program back in 2018, the Rose Bowl. But that's where the Tide will be going next to face off against Indiana. But quick thoughts on this game.
Man, what a phenomenal game by Alabama. And I just think a ton of credit goes to Grubb and Kalen DeBoer and just their preparation and some of the things they did defensively to switch up their looks, right, and confusing Mateer. Mateer did a great job passing-wise, but they definitely confused him on some of those plays and forcing a lot of sacks. And then for Ty Simpson and the boys, the tempo, the switching up, and the aggressiveness of which they played, they kept Venables out of a lot of obvious exotic pass rushes, so that really played into their hands as the game continued to go on.
I couldn't agree with you more, Matt. It's kind of one of those things, like I said earlier, the team just refused to lose and didn't make any more mistakes. The offensive line buckled down. Ty Simpson is a great quarterback when he's not pressured, and they were able to decrease the amount of pressure that he was going to be facing throughout the game. All right, let's keep this moving along. This is another matchup that we saw with the Group of 5 team in round 1. James Madison Dukes taking on the Oregon Ducks. And as you see, the comparison between the two teams is staggering. And in the first quarter, this play was amazing. Dante Moore finds Jamari Johnson.
What a catch.
Hands are rated E for everyone. One-handed grab, and he drags the defender into the end zone for the 41-yard touchdown. Take another look at this play, fellas.
Hey, single safety middle there, 4 verts, throw away from the safety. It's that simple. Dante Moore sees it. Beautiful throw, run after the catch.
All right, later on in the first, Oregon in the red zone, and a little read option here. Dante Moore takes it in himself using his legs. He had a heck of a game. Oregon up 13-3 at this point. We move on into the second quarter. The Ducks are just doing whatever they wanted at will. De'Aaron Hill Jr. here, check this out. Yep, find the hole. He gone.
He's pretty fast, right?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that you notice in this matchup, right? It's just the difference in speed, right? Oregon just has some dudes that can absolutely take it to the house any single time they touch the football.
Talking about taking it to the house, how about this play right here? Dante Moore getting it to Jeremiah McLean. And this catch was clean.
And one.
Talk about a play. Ducks are running away with it at that point, 27-3. And then Dante Moore to Malik Benson.
Look at the separation. As the football was in there, you just saw him hit another gear and just separate from the defender there. Malik Benson is just unbelievable. He's like a stick of dynamite, man. Just light it up and let's go, man.
Maybe the most underrated skill group on the outside, I think, of this entire playoff comes from Oregon.
And, one of the best plays, I think, about this highlight as the game is still going on, it's still just the end of the third, right? Dante Moore, low red zone. Use the legs more. Yeah. If he can take advantage of some of those quarterback runs there, design runs, man, they are a dangerous team to defend in that low red zone area with his athleticism.
They're playing their best football. They can be toe-to-toe with just about anyone, which is why that matchup against Texas Tech in the next round is going to be a movie.
Yeah.
All right, so 4 games down in the 2025 college football playoff, which means it is time to hand out our first round shout-outs. We've got a shout-out from each game, and let's start with the Miami Hurricanes. Guys, in a year and an era of which the transfer portal kind of rules all, Miami's key players in this game were all homegrown. When you look at Ruben Bain, Malachi Toney, Mark Fletcher, Bryce Fitzgerald, all recruited out of high school to play at the U, all from the Miami area. How great is that?
It's the best, and they're back to the foundations of what made the U special in the first place. Is like, we don't have to leave the city. We got all the players we need right here. And I think that's what's just so awesome about this. Mario Cristobal being a Miami guy himself, and of course the guys who made the plays to get them the first win in the college football playoff are the guys that are homegrown from their state, from their city. Really awesome to see that happen.
Mark Fletcher just created headaches the entire game.
Yeah.
He rushed for a career high 172 yards in the game, the second most against the Aggies in a bowl game over the last 20 seasons, only behind Lamar Jackson, by the way, in 2015. So he is up there with the best of them. A great performance where Miami really couldn't find anything offensively in their passing attack. And then Malachi Toney, you brought him up, Sam, a young kid, 18 years old, still supposed to be in high school, by the way, reclassified to be able to go to college. And he is a dynamic difference maker. This punt return pretty much almost put the game away. Unfortunately, Miami would end up missing a field goal after that, wouldn't be able to get points. But he would fumble here on this play, beat himself up on the sideline, but then the team said, listen, we need you to win this game. We're going to come back and get you the rock. And what do you know? He scores a game-winning touchdown. And this is a young kid who is the best freshman in the entire country, quite frankly, if you ask me. And he was huge for Miami. They relied on him all season long, and it still paid off in the college football playoff.
One of the biggest Achilles heels for this Miami program, especially last year, was their defense. That has drastically improved, as evidenced today when what they did to Marcel Reed there. I think it was like 9 tackles for loss. They sacked him like 7 times today.
7 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. And, you know, of course, we talk about Akeem Mesidor, Ruben Bain, but it's guys like Keontae Scott, Jacoby Thomas, and some others that get involved in that pass rush. And that's the thing, too. Marcel Reed did a great job of navigating the pocket, it seemed like, for the majority of this football game. But as the game continued to go on, you could just see that when he was making the first person miss, the whole swarm of the Hurricane defenders were there to clean up a lot of those sacks, causing just absolute disruption there in the front 7. And despite that, too, just the speed in which they play.
Crazy.
Right? And this is one of the best offensive lines that we have in the playoffs this year in Texas A&M. And it did seem like at times Miami really did have the upper hand.
And Miami was able to get after him with a standard rush all the time. That's because Akeem Mesidor, you have your Ruben Bain.
Right.
Ruben Bain, a guy who's definitely going to be playing on Sundays, made great plays in clutch moments. That sack that he got on Reed, and then the interception by what's his name, Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald,
yeah,
two of them
Fitzgerald.
today.
Two interceptions in the game. So you talk about homegrown talent. That's another guy making a big play in a big moment.
Big question, though, for this game coming off of, right? It's just like, all right, how injured is Poser, right? Because he's huge at the back end as well, right? And, of course, Jacoby Thomas, who it seemed like suffered a concussion as well. So those are 2 guys in the back end along with Fitzgerald. If all 3 of them are healthy, that is a very dangerous safety group that they have. But we'll see what those injuries look like going forward.
You talk about the fabric of the program and bringing it back to the days of Howard Schnellenberger and all of them winning national titles in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
Well, how about Michael Irvin? I mean, he is – by the way, this is nothing new. He was doing this all year long, but maybe it's amplified come playoff time. But
That's a great one.
That's how much he cares about this program. And he's not alone. You see alumni that played and won championships for the U all come back to support. And now, look, they're finally winning, man.
I love that after the kiss there to Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal was like, damn, you're sweaty, and just like started wiping his face off with all the sweat, man. He is funny.
The man put a Texas A&M jersey on a trash barrel, then got a belt and
just started beating
the crap out of it. I mean, he is one of one. Michael Irvin, shout out to him. And you know he's passionate about it.
They don't
man.
even show the mascot anymore. They just show him. He is the mascot for the Miami Hurricanes now. And you know what? I'm with it. I like it. He's awesome for the game.
When Alabama was down by 17 points in the game last night, there was some discord on social media about whether or not the Tide actually belonged in the college football playoff this year.
How about now?
But when they needed somebody to step up with guys like on the outside that just haven't been playing well, Latsier Brooks was the guy that stepped up, Maddie, your freshman from the Dirty Jers.
Dirty Jers, you know, and he's from New Jersey, and you know where Millville is, where he's from? It's like the last exit in the state. I mean, he's damn near in the Atlantic Ocean. That's how far Millville is.
Funny.
But 4,600 yards in high school at Millville playing for the Bolts. 67 touchdowns. This cat is on the Mount Rushmore of Jersey high school football, and he just left a year ago. That's how we feel about him. So there's no doubt, hey, your boy, hey, Millville, we love you, man. way to represent Lazio. I was at my house just screaming, going nuts watching you play, man. Got to represent the dudes from Jersey, man. And so proud of him and Millville and the rest of the family there for Bolt Up Nation, man. Congratulations to Lazio Brooks and his performance.
Scoob, what were you thinking when Alabama was losing 17-0 in that game on the road against an Oklahoma team that just doesn't allow points?
Yeah.
I was like, the boy about to go to Michigan. that's what I was thinking.
You weren't alone in that, probably.
What time's that red eye?
Right? But all of a sudden, man, when they scored that touchdown on 4th down to Lazio Brooks, it immediately turned around because Oklahoma on the next drive would have their punter bobble the ball, allowing Alabama to get the rock and eventually score again, right?
Look at Tim Keenan.
Right?
Look at that.
Just an incredible play because all 3 phases truly matter. And then right after, I love our production crew because they knew exactly where I was going to go with it. Because right after that, John Mateer get picked up by Xavier Brown for the pick 6. The same guy who picked off
Joey Aguilar.
Yes,
Thanks
Joey
for bringing it
Aguilar,
up again.
Tennessee for the pick 6. So that guy knows how to make plays at the right time. And all of a sudden, Alabama rallies back. That sequence right there from the 4th down touchdown to the punt that was blocked to the pick 6, immediately you could feel it like, Oklahoma's in trouble.
And for that play, John Mateer, he has completed that probably 90% of the time this season and just got duped, right? And he's thinking that he has a free access hitch to the boundary there. I'm just going to take it and throw it, move forward, right? But Xavier Brown did a great job. He played soft. They shifted right before the snap there, played cloud coverage, undercut the route, took it from there. So really just a perfect play call at the right time, taking advantage of what Oklahoma was doing.
We'll get back to our shout-outs in just a bit, but we've talked about now both of these games. Oklahoma and Texas A&M both have reasonable cases for their fan bases to have a grievance with the way that their respective seasons ended.
Of course.
But which fan base, Maddie, do you think should be most disappointed about how they performed in the first round of the playoff?
I would say it's Texas A&M, right? I feel like out of the two, Texas A&M was the better team that did have the possibility of being a national champion at the end of this. You heard me say it a few weeks ago where I was like, I think Texas A&M can win 4 in a row. I also think they could be one and done because they are playing the Miami Hurricanes. So for them, few positives. Marcel Reed, damn, he's a damn good football player. You got a great offensive line, right? You got some great production from Craver, right, and from Concepcion as well.
Right.
What does the future look like for the skill group and for the running back room going forward? But you have Marcel at the key position there, a quarterback. He'll steady the ship for you. You expect him to. All the growth that he had from just this year alone, from last year, you got to think that, hey, his stock is going to continue to rise. He's going to get better. He's going to get more efficient as a passer and as a runner.
Also, just surprised that a Mike Elko team has had struggles with containing a run. Like that's never really happened, the defense for a Mike Elko coach team. But, Scoob, you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Matt said because for Oklahoma, it's hard to beat the same team twice, especially Alabama having the last time that they lost to Oklahoma, they had 3 turnovers and only lost by 2 points. So when everyone was asking me who I think is going to win that game, I said, well, Alabama barely lost it, and they turned the ball over and gave them a pick 6. But for Texas A&M, to Matt's point, they were driving up and down the field. They had multiple opportunities to get points on the board and weren't able to do it. More missed field goals. Their special teams really struggled. And with the talent that they had on the roster, I believe that they could advance further than Oklahoma could have, as Matt had just said.
And I think as time goes on, both these fan bases may grow to at least appreciate the seasons that they had. Look, Brett Venables was on the hot seat coming into this season. I think we forget about what Oklahoma was the last couple of years. And Texas A&M, Marcel Reed, one of the more unheralded quarterbacks in the entire conference. Nobody was really talking about Marcel Reed coming into the season. So there are positives, I think, for both fan bases to take away from this season. All right, our third shout-out on our first round college football playoff shoutouts will go to the Ole Miss coaching staff because over the last month plus, it has been the Lane Kiffin show. Where is he going? Is he staying? Is he going to leave? A ton of credit goes to this Ole Miss coaching staff, specifically for Pete Golding, for keeping the train on the tracks, Maddie, and for not really having a letdown against Tulane when it easily could have happened with all the outside noise.
I mean, it's so easy. It really is. And we got to think, too. I mean, I get distracted by it, right? So I can only imagine what it's like when you're in that locker room and dealing with all these things. But just a credit to Charlie Weiss, Trinidad Chambliss, the rest of the skill group. I mean, this is one of the more talented skill groups that we have in the playoffs right now. And man, they showed up, they played great, and you got to be proud of them. You got to be happy for them. You got to celebrate them and what they're going through without their head coach to leave them and such an unbelievable opportunity. And for them to galvanize and come together and play the way they did, truly just what makes sports just so special, right? And for Charlie Weiss, dude, salute to you, man. Like, I really appreciate you being the man that you are and going back and taking care of business and finishing this thing out the right way with the team that really does believe in you. And that's the thing. It just, you could tell the team loves this dude.
Trinidad
right?
said it.
And that's where I just feel like, man, I'm just so happy for him, right, to stand his ground, for him to represent the school and himself that way. He's on his way to being one of those head coaches in the mix next year.
Very well said, Matt, because we saw reports of Charlie Weiss saying whether Lane Kiffin was going to let him go or not, he was
going to be there.
He was going, yeah.
Chambers said, I just needed my offensive coordinator there. But, guys, the way that they started this game, I felt like was the statement.
Yeah.
Here's an incredible stat for their first 5 games. So 5 straight plays of 20-plus yards to start the game. That's the longest streak to start a game by any team over the last 20 seasons. So this was a different type of energy that Ole Miss was stepping into the game with. They looked explosive. They looked every bit of the part. Like Quan Lacey, we don't know what his health status is going forward. He had a shoulder injury towards the end of the half. Ended up coming back in the third quarter, took a couple more carries, and then left for the rest of the game and didn't come back. They really didn't need him. It's probably best to protect him, but that is something that you really have to watch.
No question, and we got to keep an eye on that, too, as we go forward. We are only in year 2 of this 12-team playoff iteration, but the scoreboards don't lie, and the absolute beatdowns of Ole Miss over Tulane and Oregon over James Madison has kind of reignited some of the arguments surrounding the group of 5 and their inclusion into the college football playoff. I'll ask you, Maddie, is the mandatory inclusion right now of the group of 5, the auto bid, is it damaging the integrity of the college football playoff, or is that just the price that you pay for having a truly inclusive tournament?
I mean, at the end of the day, this is entertainment, right? And I find it very hard to justify the fact that we go through all of this process and all this evaluation of critiquing teams, coaching staffs, and moments throughout the year and going through the 10 best teams that we see in football and then skipping a whole bunch of other really good teams that are qualified to getting an opportunity and then, you know, obviously giving an opportunity for James Madison Tulane.
Sure.
So, you know, of course, like I say this with really talking out of both sides of my mouth because I love the opportunity for Tulane and for James Madison and for those football players because to some degree they have earned it.
Yep.
Considering what the rules are put in place right now. But as far as being the best product on the field and for college football and the health of college football going forward, no, I do not see that.
What would you change?
I mean, the truth is just like, why are we ranking teams if we got to find out all these weird ways to skip over a bunch that really are qualified that should be playing and making this opportunity?
Is that the crux of it? Like,
you know, that's really what it is. I feel like it's just like the common sense says there's so many other teams that are more deserving or have earned the right to play in the college football playoffs that we did not see this weekend.
Yeah, just looking at the YouTube chat because I know everybody is really involved with the show. Tej, I think is how you say it. He said Tulane and JMU had no business being in the CFP. Their teams are full of 3 stars and below. I hear what you're saying.
Like, you know, hey, take it easy on that, right? They're great football players too. Now, hey, do they have the same depth and all that and the resources of the other schools? No, they do not, right? They earned it with the way the rules are right now. That's fine. But you're right.
But this is what I really wanted to bring up, and I asked our production crew to put this together. When you look at the teams that were left out, such as Texas, Vanderbilt, and Notre Dame, their strength of schedule is at least within the top 50. For JMU and Tulane, they're outside of that. JMU even more so. And then the FPI, you talk about being ranked even further out. So they're playing on a different set of rules. Nick Saban said it's like bringing in a AAA team into the MLB playoffs. I don't know if it's that bad, but I can completely relate with what he's trying to say in the sense of if we're going to put these group of 5 teams in, then let's cap it off where you have to be at least ranked within the top 15 or 17 or something. Not all the way back because now we're leaving teams out that is going to give us a better product on the field. The way that it looked like in that Ole Miss game is not the type of football that we want to see in the college football playoff when we have waited the entire season for this moment. I just want better football at this time of the year. I think last year with Boise State, they deserved it. They put up a good game against Oregon. But when you see how these group of 5 teams performed against decent Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams, it was never the same type of performance.
I mean, common sense tells us, right, that we would have saw Notre Dame take on Ole Miss today. Hey, Notre Dame probably would have had a really good opportunity to win that football game. Vanderbilt would have had a good opportunity to beat Ole Miss today, right? Even Texas would have had a good opportunity to beat Ole Miss. And that's really what we got to go down to, right? It's just we need to see the best football possible, right? And we need to give the teams who have earned the right, to play those extra games and to represent their schools in such a celebratory manner. So we're missing out, I think, on some of those opportunities.
Yeah, and Commando Breezy kind of in the YouTube chat, Commando Breezy, I like that name. They said that they don't have the depth to make a run. This isn't March Madness, and I was saying that before we got out here because that's kind of what you hope for an NCAA tournament of. Hey, we might have a Cinderella. We might have a team that we have not talked about all season, haven't really watched their games, make a run all the way into the Final Four, maybe even the championship. And that would be a lot of fun. But basketball is a different sport where you can have somebody go off for 40 or have somebody just hit a hot streak for a couple of weeks in the NCAA tournament. But for football, it is a different sport. You need your offensive linemen to block. You need your wide receivers to catch. You need the quarterback to be accurate and your punters not to bobble a ball or your kickers not to miss easy field goals. It is a huge team sport, which is why I love the game of football. I think it's the best team sport in the world, and you're seeing that with how this tournament is played.
And I too.
Knock if you're with me. Let's go.
I know, and I think Nick Saban's point, he's not making any sort of declarative statement that they don't. I don't think he's saying they don't belong necessarily. Look, AAA teams have major league players on them.
That's right.
But an entire AAA team is not going to make it to the majors, right?
That's right.
And I think we can all agree with that.
And real quick, Ken 1211-7, it just asked, why is BYU not listed in that group? Listen, Ken, we tried to get BYU in that group, but the way that graphics work, we just couldn't fit them in there. We wanted to put BYU, but I just wanted to address that.
Ken,
BYU is another team that deserves to be in, okay?
Yeah. Fair enough, Ken. And by the way, you can join Ken. Make sure you scan this code here on your screen with that little dinosaur in the middle, little T-Rex there, and get at us. We will try to get to all of or some of your comments later on in our show. Time now for the Playbook presented by Modelo, College Football Playoff Edition. We go back to the touch with our very own QB, Matt Sims. A game that everybody had circled in the first round was Miami and Texas A&M for a lot of different reasons. I like to snap.
Oh, you like that, right?
One of the reasons being that these two teams average more than 34 points per game, so we thought we might have scoring.
Yeah.
But heading into the fourth quarter, it was 3-0. And when Miami needed it most, their veteran running back, Mark Fletcher, stepped up for them big time today.
This was awesome to me. This was old school, playoff football, NFL playoff football,
right.
Great defenses. It was all about the trenches, the O-line, the D-line, making big time plays. So we're going to kind of fast forward here to the back shot, of this. We're going to go to the end zone view.
Okay.
Because we want to just show you guys, just how the Texas A&M defense in this situation kind of played themselves out of winning football. So here we have an overfront by the Texas A&M defensive line. We got two backers here in the middle, We have 8 people near the line of scrimmage to stop the run because, hey, we have a condensed formation. So that's the emphasis, As we press play, immediately this defensive tackle, who is right here in this A gap, jumps to the outside of the guard here towards that B gap. That middle backer that we were just highlighting here, he's supposed to be right here in this A gap or two gapping with the center. He commits too aggressively to the opposite A gap. And you can see for the Miami offensive line, they really don't have to do much. Just get a hat on a hat, hold your body, hold strong. And then, of course, Fletcher from there, man, he's going to break that tackle every single time because he's a big, strong running back and does a great job of running through tackle. This is the bonus, though. C.J. Daniels on the outside. Here he is. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just get in their way. Just make it a dirty picture for the defender that's playing defense. He does that, gives him a one-on-one there with Brooks in the back end, and he makes Brooks work all the way down the field to get him down to the ground for an extra 15 yards.
Fletcher had 81 rush yards the first 3 quarters of this game. He had 86 in the fourth quarter alone. That 56-yard run that we saw was a career high, by the way, for the veteran. He credited C.J. Daniels and the wide receivers the entire game for blocking for him. Here's another play that he bursts off another big run.
And here's another one. We don't have the end zone view here, but again, we're going to see a very similar concept again where we're basically just working double teams on both sides of the offensive line for the Miami Hurricanes. And now we're going to highlight again, too, Malachi Toney, C.J. Daniels again, getting in the run game and being aggressive and blocking in the trenches here. So as we play it out, look at Malachi Toney. Look at the aggressiveness here, right? That's a safety coming down, right, to fill the gap, to play great defense, and he is getting his hat across, and he is driving through. C.J. Daniels, he's going to do that exact same thing and add on to it. Great job by the Miami offensive line. A hat for a hat again. Mark Fletcher, if we're looking at his viewpoint, all he's seeing is white. He's seeing white jerseys, and he knows from there, hey, my guys are winning. Now I just got to be patient, find the lane. He jump cuts. Great job riding the wave. Look at the aggressiveness and the blocking on the outside there, mushing everybody into the pile, getting some pancakes there as well. You got to love that from Miami Hurricanes. Physical, and that's really was the difference in the fourth quarter here, just out-hitting Texas A&M's defense.
Real quick, how much of that work was done through the first 3 quarters for Miami just pounding that line and just making them tired?
No doubt, and that's the thing. That's where you got to credit guys like Shannon Dawson, right, for just being patient and sticking to it, because you're right. It's not the first body punch that beats you up. It's the 23rd, it's the 24th, right? And in this case, it was the 12th, it was the 13th, the 14th for his carries, and that was just a credit to the play calling and their patience and understanding. That's what the style of the game was.
Sure.
It wasn't about like, hey, we got to find Carson Beck. He hasn't made a play in a while. No, Carson Beck, great job managing the game, controlling the football, not turning the ball over, playing good, and then relying on your offensive line and your skill players to make the play. So now we're going to get to the back end of this. We have Tony that was started over here. He went into a motion across the field, right? We had that man coverage on the back end. So now we know exactly what the coverage is. We're going to stop him here as soon as he gets outside the tackle and then do that little speed sweep right off the side.
Yep.
Now, Elijah Lofton, C.J. Daniels again, right? And then Mark Fletcher are all going to be leading to the outside. Francis as well on the outside. Moeaga is doing a great job. So these are going to be lead blockers out there. So we basically have a huge picket fence leading the way for them. So we press play. All right, first of all, now we've outflanked Texas A&M's defense already.
Yeah.
The defensive end here, the end man on the line of scrimmage, does a great job of understanding, okay, they're running outside zone. I need to just go full speed to the outside shoulder. Now watch Francis and his ability to fight through this, create contact, and then Fletcher with the little chicken wing as he passes by gives him just enough to sustain that block. And now look at this, right? As soon as he gets around the edge here, look at Lofton, look at Fletcher. They're looking for bodies, right? And you can see that there's a full sprint here to the front pylon. They do a great job. Bad angles right there by some of the Texas A&M defenders, and then good job by Fletcher and Lofton leading the way to the goal line. Phenomenal execution, using the speed of 10 to get to the outside to go with that inside pounding the rock mentality they had earlier.
And let's not forget what happened earlier in the fourth quarter. Tony dropped a ball. He fumbled the ball, right? And the first guy that went to go console him was Mark Fletcher Jr.
No doubt.
You know what he told him? He said, you're going to get the ball again, and you're going to win us the game. And that's actually what happened.
Hey, man, the dude knew. He knew.
He did.
And that's just like the leadership of what it takes, right? When we get into this time period, it's not about like, hey, everybody's good now. Right now, it's about player-led football teams, right? And leadership within the locker room, not just Mario Cristobal doing it in rah-rah for the guys. It's guys like Fletcher that are doing those things. And this is what caps it, right? Texas A&M Marcel Reed has a phenomenal drive, gets all the way here to the low red zone, and this is one of the best plays of the day for Miami. Of course, it seals it for him. So what we have here to start is we have essentially like man coverage down here, man here, here, and here. So straight across the board, Marcel's like, I got man coverage, I know what I'm doing, I'm gonna be very aggressive, okay? Now, as we play this out, switch a release here by the Texas A&M receivers. So the inside guy goes out, outside guy goes in as a pick. Great job by Bryce Fitzgerald playing over the top and not allowing the pick to affect him. The best part about this too, as soon as this receiver makes this cut, he does a great job of, instead of trying to run vertical to cut him off there, he takes the easiest path between the quarterback and the receiver with his angle to cut off the receiver. So as you can see right here, it's like most guys would run up the field like this.
Yeah.
He does a great job of getting between the receiver and the quarterback, undercutting the pass. Phenomenal play here in the low red zone to add to his second interception of the day. And this, right, young QB's at home. Marcel Reed makes the right decision here. The thing is, he's got to play a little bit sharper and fast. Ball right now. But, like, it's got to be out. It's got to be on its way, and he has to throw it right through this upright for him to go and get that. He pulls the football a little bit to the side with his motion as he goes, and that's why the ball goes a little bit further to the left than he was expecting.
And again, that'll be film that he's going to watch, no doubt, in the offseason, come back better next year. But the third turnover of the game for Marcel Reed on that play.
He played tough. He had a good day today. He made a lot of big-time plays, and he got them back into the game, too. But, yeah, the 2 turnovers, one of them obviously was costly and ended the football game.
First 11-win season for the Miami Hurricanes. They will take on Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl in the quarterfinal on New Year's. Maddie, that was the playbook.
Appreciate it.
All right, with the first round of the playoff complete, now sets up what has to be one of the best New Year's Day of college football. Lone rematch from the regular season. The quarterfinals will take place in the All-State Sugar Bowl between Ole Miss and Georgia. Bulldogs won this one 43-35 back in October. Guys, remember Ole Miss had that 9-point lead heading into the fourth quarter before Georgia rattled off 17 straight. Maddie, come to you here. Keys to the game on both sides in this rematch now.
Keys to the game, I mean, just for Ole Miss, this is a totally different defense.
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It is. I mean, I'm just saying, like, the Georgia defense, and we've heard it from Heather, and as we've discussed and watched, they're shaping into a Kirby Smart defense.
Yes.
Right? I think we've all seen that tweet that kind of went viral, too, of the guy that was in the parking lot listening to Kirby during practice and all that.
Was so sick.
Like, so they're ready to go. Right?
Kirby's locked in,
They're
bro.
chomping at the bit, okay? There was a lot of MFs going around during that practice.
Can we complete a pass?
No doubt. So you can see the type of pressure that even Gunner's under, right, even at practice. But, yeah, I look at that side of it. I think for Charlie Weiss, that's going to be the big question. It's just like, how can you generate explosive plays, and how can you play consistent, right, in just obvious passing situations? Because last time around, in critical moments of the fourth quarter, I feel like that was kind of their issue. They couldn't just drop back and throw it and cut up that secondary for Georgia.
Last time we saw this Georgia defense, they pressured the hell out of Ty Simpson. At 56% of his dropbacks, he was pressured. I mean, Kirby Smart was sending blitz after blitz after blitz. The way that you negate that is if you're able to run the ball. Mm-hmm. I said it earlier in the show, Kwan Lacey, how healthy is he going to be for this matchup? Because if Georgia's going to bring pressure to Trinidad Chambliss, then you've got to be able to hand it off towards your talented back. Now, Trinidad Chambliss, he got to be able to use his legs in this matchup effectively and be smart about when he uses them and how he uses them. Because this Georgia defense is completely different from when they faced off in the regular season. Yeah. And just as another note, Kirby Smart is undefeated against teams that he has had rematches against, 4-0. So we saw him have that rematch against Alabama, won that game. How's a rematch against Ole Miss? We'll see if they'll be able to win this game. But this is a rematch against the team that he beat. Is he going to be able to beat them twice?
There is some of that, like, we've been there before, that strikes me in this game with Georgia. Hell, they played in this game last year, and they lost to Notre Dame. So there's a little bit of a revenge factor in this as well. Conversely, for Ole Miss's run defense, which has been a little bit porous this year, remember Georgia ran it for over 220 yards on them. Hell, even today, Jamari McClure for Tulane ran it for 84 yards. So, that's something that Pete Golding is going to have to maybe keep an eye on.
It's going to be a shootout. I mean, that's what. If Ole Miss is going to win the game, it has to be a shootout. Like that, there's no bones about it. If they struggle offensively, I think Georgia can definitely take control of this football game, control the tempo of it, and especially if they're running the football effectively, they will limit possessions for Trinidad in that offense.
I think that's a great point that you bring up. Although it was a blowout against Tulane, they still had over 400 yards in the game. They were still moving the ball up and down the field. They just weren't able to finish their drives. Now, if Georgia is able to do that, it is going to become a different type of ball game, right? They're going to get ahead, and to your point, it will become a shootout.
Georgia, by the way, trailed in 6 of their 7 regular season matchups this year in the SEC. They have, I'd argue, this is a Georgia team that has a much better defense, like you mentioned, that they were in the beginning of the season. So it's a different factor when you look at where Ole Miss is today versus where Georgia is today. But this game, again, January 1st, 8 Eastern time on ESPN. You guys have a lean one way or another in this one?
I'm going with Georgia for me. I mean, and I think it's really just the improvements of the secondary, right? For guys like Everett, of course, and Ellis Robinson as well on the outside there on the islands. I mean, those guys have made tremendous, tremendous progress. And Kirby Smart does not help them. He doesn't do a lot of coverages where he has, like, safety help over the top. It's one-on-one. So for Charlie Weiss, that'll be the key is, like, how can you generate explosive plays and create one-on-ones that they can take advantage of?
They opened as a touchdown favorite. You think they can maybe cover that, or is it going to be a little bit closer?
I say they cover that.
Yeah. If you were to see my bracket on our YouTube channel here, I picked Georgia to go quite far in the college football playoff, and I feel pretty confident about them winning this game. I thought Ole Miss was obviously going to win this first game. They're going to be running on that juice. They're going to come together as a group, but you're going to run into a Georgia team that right now has gotten better throughout the whole season. One of the biggest knocks on them earlier in the season was the fact that they always started slow.
Right.
They started to correct that as the season started to go
All
along.
right, so that is the All-State Sugar Bowl. Let's head over to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Miami, Ohio State. Look, first meeting between these two since 2011. Miami and Ohio State played one of the more memorable BCS national championship games. Some might remember 03 Fiesta Bowl. Miami opened as a 9.5-point dogs in this game.
Wow.
I want to start on the defensive side of the ball for this matchup because you've got two players that have a case to maybe be the number one pick in the NFL draft this year. Reuben Bain and Arvell Reese on the other side for Ohio State.
Yeah.
How do you think that these two teams match up on the defensive side of the ball first?
Oh, I mean, I feel terrible for both quarterbacks going into this football game because, I mean, there's playmakers all over the place, right? But just, for Miami, got to be more disciplined. There was too many times, I feel like, in this matchup, right, where, like, yes, they were getting great penetration in the backfield and disrupting Marcel Reed, but there was way too many plays where Marcel Reed was able to step into the pocket and make plays with his legs. Now, we haven't seen that much from Julian Sayin, but you got to play more disciplined rush lanes. You got to collapse the pocket a little bit more consistently. So for Miami, no doubt that they have the Johnnies and Joes to take care of it up front. Right? I'm curious to see just what they do defensively in the back end as well, considering how serious those injuries are with Poser and Jacoby Thomas as well.
Julian Sayin was sacked 5 times when he ended up playing in the Big Ten championship. So I think that's what they have to be able to do, protect him. Akeem Mesidor, Reuben Bain, playmakers that can definitely get to the quarterback. But Marcel Reed in Texas A&M was able to hit them for a couple of big plays. They were still able to move the ball down the field as well, but obviously 3 turnovers makes a huge difference. Julian Sayin doesn't turn the ball over that often, but you also got 2 of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football, Julian Sayin and Carson Beck. Carson Beck doesn't necessarily hit you down the field with deep balls, but he's still an accurate quarterback when you talk about getting those short and intermediate throws to his wide receivers.
If there is maybe a bit of a weakness, the Ohio State offensive line has been questionable. You go back to the Big Ten title game, 9 tackles for loss in that game, as you mentioned, and they held Ohio State to 87 rush yards. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. Do you guys have a lean in this one way or another?
Yeah, so I was going into this thinking that Miami could pull the upset off, but what I saw today from the Texas A&M matchup, I'm a little concerned with Miami separating against the Ohio State secondary. I think that is going to be a problem. I know that Malachi Tony is one of the better stories, but for him and CJ Daniels, to get open consistently, I'm not quite so sure if they can do that with their offensive structure.
Agree. You got to be able to make some explosive plays down the field, and Carson Beck and that offense hasn't been able to show that against elite talent.
All right, so let's head out to the Rose Bowl, where it will be filled with the color crimson, because we have got Indiana and Alabama meeting on the gridiron for the very first time, by the way. The narratives are out there. This is insane, guys. Indiana playing in its 15th bowl game ever. Alabama is playing in its 15th college football playoff ever. So, like, that's a little bit of a difference. But Indiana is the team that's favored in this one. Don't let the helmets fool you. Who do you have? Let's start here. What's the biggest question that maybe you have on both sides in this one?
Biggest question for me, I would say, for Alabama, hey, great offensive performance against Oklahoma. Can you do it again? Right? I mean, that's the biggest thing, because there's too many stretches of the season where it doesn't click all the way. And, of course, they're not going to be able to run the football because they couldn't run the football the entire season. It's not going to change against Indiana. Right? They're going to make sure Brian Haynes, they're going to lock up that front. So now it's going to be just Ty Simpson and Grubb. Like, are you going to lean into that tempo stuff a little bit more to give yourself that freedom, right? Can Ryan Williams come up in clutch situations for them to make some big-time plays? He has to be more a part of the offense going forward. Latsier Brooks has been great. Bernard's been phenomenal. They need something from Ryan Williams as well, just to keep that offense a little bit more balanced.
Safe to say the questions are all on Alabama's side,
Pretty
right?
much.
I mean, Indiana,
a little bit, I would say so.
We've seen everything and anything we need to see from Indiana this season. They've showed that they can beat you in multiple ways, whether they have their star wide receivers or not. And they can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They have the Heisman winner. But for Alabama, they've just shown us one way of being able to beat you, and they can only do so when Ty Simpson is protected, which he has not been as of late. They found a way to protect him late in the game against Oklahoma, which is why he was able to find success. But when he was pressured in the game, he was 1 for 8 for 12 yards. So Ty Simpson, of course, big surprise, not a great quarterback when he's pressured. But you got to be able to find your open guys down the field because it's going to be all on your shoulders.
Yeah.
This opened as a 7-point advantage for Indiana, guys. Who are you going to take?
It's Indiana. It is. I mean, and we saw John Mateer kind of cut up the secondary a little bit for Alabama, which is a talented secondary, but it's, to me, way too much open space for explosive plays there against John Mateer and the Oklahoma Sooners. I think the Indiana Hoosiers will take advantage of that and then some. Wouldn't be shocked if Fernando Mendoza has like a really stellar day through the air.
Yeah, I think that Indiana defense is going to remind us just how good they are, and they're going to shut down the passing game of Alabama.
Look, in a lot of ways, Alabama's going to have to do to Indiana what a lot of teams have tried to do to Alabama.
Right.
In so many instances in the college football playoff. Limit possessions, right? Try to play a little bit of small ball. Run the football if you can.
I mean, if you think about it, man, the last month of the season, Alabama's offense was very intermediate. They were just about as good as Oklahoma's. Yeah, exactly. When you talk about effectiveness, EPA.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. I got excited about just like, and let's remember too, like for Indiana, right? I mean, Hemby and Black in the backfield. I mean, these are two phenomenal running backs, and that's the thing. Like Alabama doesn't have that ability to do that. Indiana does. Indiana can play a tempo style where they can control the clock. They can also be fast-paced and aggressive. So we've seen Indiana, like Scoop said earlier, kind of win in a lot of different ways, whereas Alabama, it's all just Ty Simpson making plays for them offensively and the defense making the few turnovers they need. So I think Indiana's the safer bet.
All right, so we got a little bit of time off here. We're going to get to the Capital One Orange Bowl in just a second, but we got a little time off here as we look at some of the notable dates coming up where the teams are going to be playing. Quarterfinals start again New Year's Eve. We'll roll it over to January 1st. A reminder, we will be doing the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl as well on the ESPN College Football YouTube page on that date. We'll also be talking about the quarterfinals on the 1st. Then we get to the semifinals January 8th and the 9th. The national championship is on January 19th. You can watch the wrap-up after every single round right where you're watching us right now. Let's take a look at the bracket here. Before we do get to picking some of the teams going forward, just real quick thoughts on the Oregon-Texas Tech matchup, which I think could be one of the more exciting ones in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild that we're doing this because the game is still going on, but still, yes. So for Oregon-Texas Tech, you know, I think for Oregon, we see the team speed that they have against James Madison, right? I mean, it's apparent. And Dante Moore is playing some phenomenal football. But I think Texas A&M, their defense, their defensive front, and just their overall speed defensively, they'll be able to slow down Oregon just enough to get this win. I say Texas Tech.
This is the most evenly matched up one, right? In the quarterfinals?
I would agree with that, yes.
Like
I would say this is the biggest coin flip game to me, right?
Yes,
because I'm just not sure what to expect from Texas Tech in this type of environment. And also, too, just Oregon, just feeding off the fact that they played today, I think is a huge thing going for them.
I mean, just look at it. It is a 5-4 game, so you would think that it will be the most even matchup. But I do think that the Texas Tech offense has not shown me enough this season to be explosive, and I think that Oregon will be able to contain them. Texas Tech has been great on defense, but then I look at the Oregon offense, and I think that they have everything that they need to be explosive as well. So if there's any breakdowns, if they have any opportunities to hit you deep, Johnnies and Joes, I do like the Johnnies that Oregon has. So I think they'll be able to come out with the win.
Well, you think about, the one loss that Texas Tech did pick up, right? It was Sam Leavitt that was carving them up a little bit. Dante Moore can exploit them a little bit on the outside.
Dante Moore had a monster game today.
Different style of play, though. Like Sam Leavitt was really doing like some wild stuff in that football game. And I'm not sure if Dante Moore plays to that style, but there's no doubt that he's playing with a different confidence.
Oregon or Texas Tech?
Gosh, give me Texas Tech.
Okay.
I'll take Texas Tech.
I mean, let's see. The running game, who runs the football better? Well, I like to kind of think that maybe Oregon is going to be able to run the football a little bit more consistently. That's where the Texas Tech defensive front comes in.
But okay.
And then Reggie Virgil, Caleb Douglas in those one-on-one situations, right? And even Coy Aiken got to make big-time plays down the field and one-on-one situations because Oregon is going to bring the house a lot.
Brian, what's the score of this? Because we're still doing it right now. Oregon, James Madison playing. What's the score? How many points did James Madison score right now? So James Madison scored 32 points in this game.
Yeah.
Maybe
like that's a little bit concerning to me because the one thing that everyone was talking about with James Madison was their defense. It wasn't necessarily their offense.
Right. But I will say there is that element in this game that where they were up by so many points that I think they may have checked out just a little bit.
I agree with that. There's something to be said, like when you're kind of just like stomping a team that way.
They were doing anything they wanted at will, but it is there is that element of discipline that they still need to hold on to, and they're going to get chewed out in film for giving up that much points.
I can understand letting your foot off the gas. But 30 points?
No, I mean,
they put up 51.
It's a great point.
How many teams scored 30 points on Oregon this year?
Yeah.
That's a great point. It's real. No, you're making it.
Okay.
The only thing to me is just like when you look at this matchup, right? How sharp are they after being off for such a long period of time?
Sure.
And that was a discussion we had last year. And obviously all 4 of those teams, had trouble getting it going. So that's the biggest thing I think for Texas A&M is like Texas Tech, they have to start fast in this game.
All right, so we all picked Indiana to win this game. Matt,
So,
you want to move them over there?
Yeah. So, well, we've already picked who we think are going to win these games. So let's move that
We
on.
picked Georgia.
Georgia, yep.
And we picked Ohio State, right?
Right.
All right. Yeah. So let's talk about the semifinal matchups.
Wow.
Man, okay, so if we're going Texas Tech, Indiana, I still think that Indiana is just like the cleanest team, like across the board, right? From every position, offensively, defensively, and what they can do. Like, I just feel like they're one of the more trustworthy teams that are still in it here.
By the way, we didn't pick a single upset in the quarterfinals there.
Yeah, I mean, this was the one that I was looking at myself, was the Miami-Ohio State matchup. Again, like what I saw from Texas A&M today, not sure if Miami really can get open consistently in their passing attack.
Because we went chalk, if there was like an upset that you would pick, it would be Miami. It would be Miami. You think?
That was up there. I would say, honestly, if I were to pick one upset out of this one, because I'm not even going to consider this one. The 4-5, right?
Yeah.
I would actually go with Alabama over Indiana.
I'm with you.
Really?
Right.
I would rather go with Ole Miss over Georgia.
Oh, really?
You don't think so? Because we've already seen you before.
played it,
We
they
have
played
some
already.
familiarity there. There's no fear. Everybody understands what's at hand here. So it's a neutral field, right? Ole Miss has showed us basically nothing has changed without Lane Kiffin being there. So
that's a good point.
If I was going to pick it, that's probably where I would pick the upset. But hey, either one of these, we could see anything happen there. But Texas Tech, Indiana, I think I'm right there with you, Matt. Indiana would win that game just because of how well-rounded they are. We talked about the fact that they can beat you in so many different ways. One of the knocks on Texas Tech, and this is what the College Football Playoff Committee said, is that they never finished off their drives as much as they would want, kicking a lot of field goals. So Indiana will take them to move on here to the championship. And then Georgia versus Ohio State. Who do we got?
I feel like I got to go Georgia in this one.
Same.
I do. And I love Ohio State. I really do. And I think that their defensive front and front
Especially
seven.
with how they've been playing,
It's
right?
been fantastic. It really, he couldn't help it. He had to
I
fix
have
that.
OCD.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
he had to correct that. I
The
know.
whole year
He
he's
would,
like,
as
the
soon
whole
as
year
you
he's
did
doing
that,
that to
he
me.
was like,
I can't do it. It just it messes with my
I
brain.
get it. I'm fine. Don't worry. It's all
I think
good.
he did it on
It's all
purpose.
good.
He knew I was
We all got our
He
stuff.
moved it on purpose.
No doubt, no doubt. So we got it back into its rightful place.
So we got the SEC champion. We got the Big Ten champion going.
Yeah,
head-to-head
and I
in the
mean, listen,
championship.
you really can't go wrong. If it's these 4 teams, and even if we switch out one for the other, I mean, like, I think all of these teams are capable of winning a national championship at this point, right? And it's just kind of like to the degrees of like how much I believe in. I would say at this point right here, Ole Miss is the team that I believe in the least, right, out of all of them, right?
Because of defense? Or?
Just defense and just the overall, just how their team is structured. I just feel like their style of play is not conducive to winning 4 games in a row.
You know what's interesting, too, and we only have 2 minutes left, but we haven't talked about some of the coordinators that are leaving and how that may have been a distraction. Like with Oregon today, it didn't really come up much. I know the Lane Kiffin thing came up a little bit, but like it.
Well, maybe it
hasn't
did.
really
They gave up 32 to James Madison, so maybe it was a problem.
Sure.
You know?
So maybe Josh Lupoy's got his minds elsewhere. But like I think that may play, and it may have a bigger storyline as we go forward into the college football playoffs.
Hey, I mean, credit to them, man, because, it's like I cover college football and pro football, and sometimes there's certain weeks where, like, one's stronger than the other in my mind, so good for them to be able to compartmentalize because it's not the easiest thing in the world with all the stuff that they have.
Let's pick the championship, Indiana, Georgia.
Scooby, will you do the honors?
Do the honors, Scoob. There's only one place you can put the champion, by the way. So.
After I watched that video of Kirby Smart chewing out
That's team
now.
Quarterback!
He's locked in. He's on a different type of level, man. Kirby Smart wants the title this year. I'm going Georgia.
I would love to just grab a lawn chair and sit there and just listen to Kirby.
I don't
even
know
need
if
to
you
see it.
would, actually.
That's what
fun.
the comments said.
Very far away.
People
all
were
right?
like, crack a beer open and tailgate that.
You don't even need to see it. It's just audio. You just listen to it.
That's true.
You don't even need to see practice.
I guess we could do it anytime we want, really, considering how loud that he yells.
Yeah. All right. We are out of time. It was a great first round, guys. There were so many great games, so many great storylines that are going to continue all the way through the college football playoff. Great news for you as we will be here covering all of it with you on the ESPN College Football YouTube page. For Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, and our entire crew, I am Sam Ravech. By the way, have a happy holiday season, everybody. A healthy
Christmas.
season as well.
Happy
Thank you for
holidays.
watching the wrap-up. We
Thank
will
you
see
for
you
watching.
on New Year's Eve with the Citrus Cheez-It Bowl.
Dum, 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 dum.